Hello and welcome to Learn with Hema's class. My dear students, in this video we are going to solve the Evergreen Workbook solution, answers for that, and Julius Caesar Act 3 Scene 2 ICSE Grade 10. Before going ahead, one small request that if you are not a subscriber to my channel, kindly do subscribe my channel and help me support my channel. And if you like the videos, please do hit the like button and also do share the videos with your friends. MCQs are there for this video also, but that I will do it separately. You can find the MCQs separately for Julius Caesar Act 3 Scene 1 and Act 3 Scene 2 together. Let's go ahead quickly. There are 6 passages and there are a total of almost 5 or 6 questions in each passage. So let's start with the first passage. The first passage is citizens, we will be satisfied, let us be satisfied, and Brutus. Then follow me and give me audience friends. Now this is the passage, this is the reference to context, this is the question. Now here are the questions and the answers. Why do the citizens wish to be satisfied? What mood are they in? Give the meaning of audience. So the citizens are agitated at the death of their beloved Caesar. They wanted to know the reasons for his death. They are in a restless and dangerous mood. Audience here means to hear to Brutus' reasons. So there are 3 questions and 3 answers. Second question to this first passage. What instructions does Brutus give Cassius? What does Brutus tell the crowd before he goes up to the pulpit? Answer. Brutus instructs Cassius to go into the street after dividing the members. Before going up the pulpit, Brutus tells the crowd to stay there if they wish to listen to him, or if they wish to follow Cassius, for they can go after him. A public explanation will be given of Caesar's death. Question 3. What do the first citizen and second citizen tell each other? The first citizen says, he shall hear Brutus speak. The second citizen says, he shall hear Cassius, and then they shall compare their reasons after hearing them separately. Question 4. What will be the purpose of Brutus' speech to the citizens who are waiting for him to speak? Answer. The purpose of Brutus' speech to the citizens who are waiting for him to speak will be solely to pacify them and to convince them to satisfaction, as they were furious at Caesar's murder and wished to know the reason behind this murder from Brutus. According to Brutus, what was the single major evil in Caesar's character? The single major evil in Caesar's character was that Caesar had become too ambitious and wanted to make the Roman citizens his slaves. Now this is passage 2, Brutus. As Caesar loved me, I weep for him. As he was fortunate, I rejoice at it. As he was valiant, I honor him. But as he was ambitious, I slew him. This is the excerpt, that is passage 2 from Act 3 Scene 2. First question. Where does the scene take place? Who is Brutus addressing? The scene takes place at the Forum in Rome. Brutus is addressing to the commoners crowd. You can say commoners crowd, you can say the citizens, you can say the mob. Why does Brutus ask who he addresses be a better judge? Is Brutus correct in his assessment of what he addresses? Give reasons for your answer. Brutus asks the people to be better judge and determine Brutus' act as wise or unwise because he wants them to attentively listen to him and judge his actions. No, Brutus is not correct in his assessment of the mob's ability to judge wisely, as the mob is always fickle-minded and makes decisions on the basis of what convinces them more. Third question. Who does Brutus feel he has offended in his speech? What reply does he get? Brutus feels he has offended a base man who would wish to be a slave, or any man who does not love his country, or any man who does not wish to be a free Roman citizen. The crowd replies to Brutus by saying, none, Brutus, none. That is, Brutus has offended none of them. Fourth question. How does Brutus justify that he has offended no one at the end of his speech? Who enters after his speech? Answer. Brutus justifies his speech by saying that he has done no more to Caesar than what they shall do to him, that is Brutus, if ever they find him, Brutus, getting as ambitious as Caesar was. Mark Antony and others enter with Caesar's body after the speech. How does Brutus introduce the person who enters? Why is he confident that the person means no harm to the conspirators? Answer. Brutus introduces Mark Antony as a noble friend of Caesar who had no hand in the murder of Caesar, but he will definitely share the gains. He is confident about Antony that he means no harm because he believes that Antony is as noble as he is an honorable. Passage 3. Antony, the noble Brutus, hath told you that Caesar was ambitious. If it was so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously had Caesar answered it. Now, the first question in this third passage is, prepare a 1-minute speech on what is your ambition at this point of life and deliver it in class. Now, this is a self-response type question. You can mention about your ambitions, what do you have in your life, and you can write that accordingly in 2 lines or 3 lines. The second question, state 2 instances cited by Antony in his speech to prove to the mob that Caesar was not ambitious. Answer. Antony cites examples such as, Caesar has brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms went into the public treasury, and when the poor suffered, Caesar empathized with them and shed tears for them. Third question for third passage. What is the word used by Antony in his speech, which is a repetition in a sarcastic manner, that is verbal irony, to incite the mob to anger and fury? How does he cleverly play on the emotions of the mob against Brutus, indirectly refuting what Brutus spoke to Caesar? So answer, the word honorable is used by Antony sarcastically to undermine Brutus' projection of Caesar as ambitious and turn the tables on the conspirators' motives. This indirectly turns the mob against the conspirators. At the same time, he avoided openly attacking Brutus. Fourth question. Why does Antony ask the mob to bear with him? What is his ulterior motive in doing so? Antony asks the mob to bear with him so that he can see the reaction of the commoners on his speech. His ulterior motive is to manipulate the mood, that is anger of the crowd, and turn it against the conspirators responsible for Caesar's murder. Fifth question. What is the reaction of the mob? What do they discuss among themselves? Give 2 instances of their conversation. The mob finds Antony's argument reasonable and justifiable. They discuss about the unjust treatment done to Caesar. The first instance was when Caesar would not accept the crown. Secondly, it was proved that Caesar was not ambitious. What qualities of Antony do you admire? What character traits are portrayed in his speech? I admire Antony's skillful use of rhetoric and emotional manipulation in his speech. That is a great orator. He rises as passionate and clever in the way he sways the crowd from supporting Brutus to turning against the conspirators. He pretends to be humble while actually intending to incite the mob to mutiny all along. Antony is portrayed as more emotionally intelligent than the logical Brutus, understanding how to appeal to the people's hearts rather than their heads. That shows that he is quite cunning. This is the fourth passage. Antony, O masters, if I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage, I should do Brutus wrong and Cassius wrong, who you all know are honorable men. Who would Antony choose to wrong rather than the honorable men? Answer. Antony would rather choose to wrong the dead Caesar than to the living honorable men, that is the conspirator. Second question. What had Antony found in Caesar's closet? What 4 things would the people do if they came to know of the contents of what Antony found? Antony found a document, that is will of Caesar, with Caesar's seal on it and in the Caesar's closet. The people would go and kiss dead Caesar's wounds. They would urge to bathe their handkerchiefs in his sacred bloodshed. They would regard themselves fortunate if they would have 1 hair from his head as a memento. They would keep these things as priceless gifts to be given to their sons. Third question. What reasons does Antony give for delaying in reading the contents of what he had found in Caesar's closet? How does he incite the mob further? Antony's reasons that he might do injustice to Brutus and Caesar, as they know they are honorable men. It's not Caesar over here, it's Cassius. Antony keeps addressing the conspirators as honorable men to incite the mob further. What does he ask the mob to do? What does he want to show them? Antony asks the mob to form a ring around the corpse of Caesar. He asks the mob to do so that he can show them the wounds that could be seen from the Caesar's cloak. Explain, if I were disposed to stir your hearts and minds to mutiny and rage. Answer, the given line explains that Antony wished if he had excited their, that is mob's passions, or had stirred them, that is mob, up to rebellion and fury. Does Antony really stir their minds to mutiny and rage? Explain. Yes, Antony did really stir the minds of the mob to mutiny and rage with his great oratory skills. In ironical statements, Antony repeatedly addressed the conspirators as honorable men, while each time he addressed them so, he actually pointed to their brutal acts of stabbing Caesar, who was a well-wisher of the commoners, to death. This is the fifth passage. Antony, this was the most unkindest cut of all, for when the noble Caesar saw him stab, ingratitude more strong than traitor's arms, quite vanquished him, then burst his mighty heart. Which was the unkindest cut of all? Who have already stabbed Caesar, where, when? The cut made by Brutus' dagger was the unkindest cut of all. Cassius and Casca have already stabbed Caesar. All the conspirators stabbed Caesar at the Capitol on the Ides of March. Why was it referred to as the unkindest cut of all? What was the reaction in Caesar's body to this cut? What does it show about Caesar's relationship with the person who gave him this cut? So, the first answer starts with the unkindest cut of all. It referred to as the unkindest cut of all because it was Brutus who has given this cut, and Brutus loved him dearly. When Caesar saw Brutus stab him, he could not bear the ingratitude of a dear or loving friend, and it shattered his heart completely. This shows that Caesar had very close and loving relations with Brutus. Where did Caesar fall? What was ironical about his fall? Caesar fell at the foot of Pompey's statue. This fall is ironical because Caesar has fallen at the foot of the statue of his greatest rival. What is spoken about the vesture of Caesar by Antony in his speech? What was so special about it? What was its significance in history? Antony asks the citizens if they remember the cloak which Caesar was wearing. It was on the day when Caesar had defeated the Nervi tribe. He had worn this vesture for the first time. This cloak was used by Caesar to cover his face when he fell at the foot of Pompey. Fifth question. How did the mob react? What did Antony achieve through his speech? How far was he successful? The mob was furious to avenge Caesar's murder. Through his speech, Antony could arouse the mob to a sudden flood of mutiny. He was completely successful as he could sense the spirit of mischief that has been let loose by his speech. Passage 6. Antony, good friends, sweet friends, let me not stir you up to such a flood of mutiny. They that have done this deed are honorable. Now this is the last passage. How does Antony go on to compare himself with Brutus? How does Antony try to project himself to be simple and outright to the mob? Why does he do so? Does he really mean it when he says, let me not stir you up? Answer. Antony compares himself with Brutus, stating that Brutus is a better orator than him. Antony projects himself as a straightforward ordinary person who loves his friend. He does so to arouse the mob's passion. No, he does not really mean it when he says, let me not stir you up. Next question. What does Antony show the people that incites them still further to mutiny and rage? What does it contain? Antony shows the people the wounds on Caesar's corpse. Antony stated that these wounds acted like poor speechless mouths that cannot speak, and that these wounds were asking him, Antony, to speak for them, Caesar's murder. What do the mob decide to do at the end of the scene? At the end of the scene, the mob decided to burn down the houses of the traitors with the burning logs. Who enters after the mob disperses? What information does the person bring? Servant to Octavius enters after the mob disperses. the servant informs that his master Octavius and Lepidus are at Caesar's house. What shortcomings does Antony have as an orator according to himself? What would have happened had Antony and Brutus changed their places? According to Antony, as an orator, he lacks quick wit, has no command over vocabulary, no personal merits, nor the gestures of an orator, nor expressions, nor power of speech to arouse man's passion. If Antony and Brutus had changed places, then Brutus as Antony would stir up the mob spirit and give every wound of Caesar a fluent tongue that would make the very stones of the road in Rome to rise up in rebellion. Thank you so much for watching the channel, for watching the video. That's all for tonight. Thank you. Stay safe, stay secure.